The story of the wedding took place a few days ago, famous for a true story during 1993, related to the marriage between a Cambodian man and woman. When the bride suddenly had a strange seizure and ran up the tree to look down in the most frightening eyes, and Amin also remembered a story similar to the real story described above. At that time, I was 15 years old. It was a long time, but I can remember some that I went to the wedding of my grandmother in Takeo province. In the beginning, I, the groom, asked to hide his name as a son, living with his mother, who was a ghost farmer. His father, when he was alive, he had a teacher in the area of his house. He planted big mango trees to provide cool shade, and in front of him there was a stall selling sweets like the villagers. On the day of entering the factory, they organized a Krong Pali ceremony according to the traditional customs of the villagers. Many grandparents came to participate. In other words, the wedding ceremony was celebrated in the style of a rural area, and it took 3 days for the wedding to be completed. Come to the story on the third day of the wedding ceremony. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the sky seemed dark and still confused, mixed with the sound of music, the sound of faintness at the end of the village. Mansrick district began to compete with each other, because the children do not know what, the grandmother and the housewife are at my daughter's house, leaving me to sleep alone in the middle of the night on the moon. Only after a while did I hear the sound of footsteps running through the fields to the fields. Through the fields to the village. The voices of people, more than 5 to 6 old men and women, seemed to be shouting at something loudly, but later on, the floor of the 3-story house seemed to be crumbling. Scary, even shouting at the villagers in anger. After seeing that, my grandmother came up to me and took me down to the front of the house with my aunt. Because the groom, who is the son of the owner of the house, was having some kind of power in him while he was preparing for the wedding ceremony in the morning. I remember some of him shouting for 3 songs. But other than that I cannot remember, because the groom seems to have seizures. The villagers ran up to the house to grab a spoon-stuffed mouth to prevent biting your tongue. Some districts rushed to the wedding to ask you to play 3 limited songs. Srey, the mother of the person concerned, grabbed a bundle of incense, lit a cigarette in her mouth, and then plugged it in the door of a neighbor. When the 3-song concert was over, the bridegroom returned to his original state, and the villagers went to their respective homes, and also offered sacrifices at the bride's house, and the bridegroom left. And I came home safely.